Hello. My name is Jim Bullock from iFormulate Limited in the UK, and thank you very much, first of all, to the organisers of this Congress for the opportunity for me to speak to you today. Today, I'm going to be talking about some new developments, really, and reviewing the use of automation and artificial intelligence in formulation development, and there are certainly things that are starting to appear in research and development in agrochemicals already. A quick word about iFormulate. We're a company formed 11 years ago by myself and my colleague David Calvert. We are a consultancy organisation specialising in formulation science and technology. We've got a wide variety of experience and background in a number of different industry areas, as well as in a number of different functional areas, including R&D and innovation. We do see a lot of activity in agrochemicals, biopesticides, and so we're very active in those areas. You can see our contact details there if you ever like to contact us about anything. Most of our activities are in consulting, so we're working for companies and helping them to solve their formulation challenges. About 20% of the work we do is in training. We do training courses as well as bespoke tailor-made courses online and in person. We also do some strategic work on behalf of industry-facing bodies who want to develop a strategy for formulation. Quick outline of my talk today. We're talking about general challenges in formulation, both in agrochemicals and elsewhere. Before moving on to some definitions, I'll be defining automation, digitization, AI, and machine learning. Then I'll be moving on to concentrate on automation for a while, so looking at what is being done by formulators and what tools are being used. And then moving on to artificial intelligence and machine learning, what is being done by formulators here and what tools are being developed or used. And then taking a look at what might be happening next in the area. What's the future hold for these technological areas? So let's start by looking at the main industry challenges in formulation as we see it. And the challenges which are faced by agrochemical formulators are indeed very similar to those faced by formulators in most other industries. So the sort of challenges that you'll see in agrochemicals are also seen by pharmaceutical people, by cosmetics people, by foods people, and so on. And I've divided these challenges into 7 sections, which I'll review very quickly in a moment. But those are regulations and restrictions, sustainability, substitution, cost performance, stability and robustness challenges, innovation challenges, and complexity. Firstly, looking at regulations and restrictions, we see constantly changing demands from regulators looking for new data and evidence. So the challenge there is how to predict what will be next. And often these demands mean that we need to reformulate. Regulations get tougher, and that leads to extra cost and reduced choice to formulators. It's very difficult to get one formulation which fits all regulations because each regulation, each jurisdiction has differences, and so maneuvering between those different jurisdictions is quite tricky. We also see outside official regulations non-regulatory customer demands, things like eco-labelling, organic labelling. Sustainability is also a challenge for formulators. So there's regulatory and non-regulatory and consumer pressure for companies to reduce their carbon footprint and their water usage, and to reduce their impact on ecosystems and on biodiversity, and also their impact on people. And formulators not only need to consider their own product that they're formulating, but also the impact of the whole chain, from raw materials through manufacture, storage and transport, usage of the product, recycling and disposal. The next set of challenges are those of substitution, and there's a strong demand on formulators to find alternative co-formulants very quickly which have minimal change in performance and stability of the formulation. And these might be due to regulatory demands, to cost pressures, to time pressures, or to disruption of the supply chain. And cost performance is a great driver of challenges as well. So all formulating industries are faced with cost pressures. We are being forced to formulate to optimize performance at lowest cost. So can we formulate with fewer ingredients or cheaper ingredients or lower cost processes? Can we make use and better use of existing capital equipment and not having to invest in new equipment? And there's always a time demand, so the need to accelerate market development and market introduction by reducing R&D time and cost. Next set of challenges are in stability and robustness. Unstable formulations are very costly, and so the formulator has to make sure that formulations are stable under all conditions: manufacture, transport, storage, and use. And how to predict stability and reliably test for stability is a big challenge for a formulator as well. And is that formulation robust? Can it tolerate changes in conditions, ingredient quality, and so on, with minimal changes in performance or stability? Innovation is another challenge for formulators. We are constantly, as formulators, all being asked to innovate more effectively, to seek competitive advantage in performance, handling, safety, to extend the lifetime of active ingredients with novel formulations. And this is always done under time restrictions and cost restrictions. Then there is the challenge of complexity. Formulations are very complex. They consist of many ingredients and multiple phases. Formulators need to handle a huge number of variables when developing formulations, a huge number of potential ingredients to choose from. They have to choose the optimal amounts of the ingredients, and they have to choose the optimal process conditions to get the best formulation. Formulators have to predict and optimize multiple parameters. So we want to optimize not only performance, but we want to optimize stability, and we want to optimize cost. And often there's a compromise to be found. And that's a tricky path to follow. So complexity is the final formulation challenge, I think, that we all experience. So why then might we need automation, artificial intelligence, and machine learning? Well, the formulation challenges which I've just described have led to new ways of doing formulation, which we'll review in a moment. And these ways can increase the amount of information and knowledge which we need to make decisions. They can help make reliable predictions about how formulations will perform. They reduce the time and cost of doing R&D. They can result in better performing and more cost-effective products. And these challenges and needs are common to all industries which use formulation. So it's often useful to look outside agrochemicals for new developments and best practices. I think it's worth at this stage looking at some definitions. We've used some words already like automation and artificial intelligence, but it's worth actually looking at some definitions to see what that actually means. So I've got some definitions here on automation in laboratory and manufacturing. And the key words, I'm not going to read all of these out, but the key words I've picked out are here. Automation is used to eliminate repetitive tasks like preparation and handling in the laboratory. Automation is used to control and monitor what's being made in the laboratory or indeed in manufacturing. It reduces the need for manual labor and provides greater accuracy and efficiency. It can help reduce waste and improve safety and reduce environmental impacts. So those are some of the reasons we might like automation. It's worth distinguishing between digitization and digitalization. So digitization is the process of changing your systems from analog to digital form. So when you have an analog process and make it digital, it's digitization. Digitalization, on the other hand, is about a business process and changing the business model by using digital technologies to do business or do your work within a business in a different way. Artificial intelligence is a topic that's very often and frequently in the news at the moment, and it's defined as the science and engineering of making intelligent machines, especially intelligent computer programs. So we often see computing technologies, robotic technologies, which have the ability to reason, to discover meaning, to generalize, or to learn from past experience. What is machine learning? Well, machine learning is one part of artificial intelligence. It's a branch of artificial intelligence and computer science, and it uses data and algorithms to imitate the way that humans learn. And there are systems that learn and improve their accuracy with time. They use autonomous computer software systems, expert systems, and data mining to improve their algorithms. Things like artificial neural networks are used, and genetic algorithms to produce systems which learn and optimize at the same time. It's worth defining what is meant by design of experiments, or DOE. So DOE, often known as statistical experimental design, is an efficient and structured way to investigate potentially significant factors and cause and effect relationships on an experimental outcome. And if you choose those factors carefully, that increases the chances of extracting useful information, which factors do need to be changed and how they need to be changed. And DOE provides information about the whole system and how it works. It uses statistical methods to extract and interpret relationships between those different factors. And so with DOE, there's the potential to provide much more information from fewer experiments, and that's the real reason to do it. And DOE is increasingly being used together with laboratory automation. So let's take a look at automation and what companies are actually doing. Why might you want to automate a formulation lab? Well, you might want to do more experiments in less time. You might want to cover a wider area of formulation space. You might want to accelerate and reduce the cost of R&D. You might want to reduce the probability of failure or finding sub-optima. So let's take a look at high throughput lab formulation robots. These aren't new. These have been established for over 15 years now. Here are some suppliers. So suppliers that are common include ChemSpeed and their Formax systems, LabMan, Synchron, Mettler Toledo, and Unchained Labs. These are often customizable and modular, and they involve challenges really with liquids and solids handling and challenges with making and analyzing formulation and doing that in an automated way. I'll take one of those companies as an example, and that's LabMan, a UK company. And they've kindly provided me with some images for this presentation today. Here's an example of a very large customized formulation robot consisting of a number of modules put together, and that's a large customized robot that's been installed to do formulation at CPI in the UK. But some newer developments include what they call the collaborative formulator, and that's really where people are working much more closely on the bench with a robot. So that's really integrating human input and robotic activities, automated activities together more closely. And that's a really interesting new development, I think. And here's an example of a new function really in automated formulation, and that's grinding. I think grinding systems aren't always easy to obtain by automated systems, and LabMan have introduced a system to do grinding. Let's look at what some of the companies in formulation are doing in the agrochemicals world. Picked a couple of examples from Syngenta. So Syngenta are really not new at all to laboratory automation. They introduced their first formulation robot in the UK in 2009. That's called Artemis for liquid agrochemical formulations and testing. They then introduced a second robot called Ares for testing solubilities of active ingredients and products. And they also have a further robot which is used for tank mix compatibility experiments. And robots are also being used outside formulation for AI discovery and AI synthesis. And there's an example of a collaboration in that link there. Syngenta are also active with DOE, and there is an announcement here which I just wanted to refer to, where they've been working with the DOE company called JMP, combining design of experiments together with a lab formulation robot. And the claim here is that JMP has really helped Syngenta. Instead of making 2 or 3 samples a day, the system can be used to make 200 to 300. So really, that's really quite interesting, the combination of DOE and laboratory automation. BASF, a long time ago again, announced a formulation robot that's used for emulsions and suspensions. And more recently, they've been talking about the use of high throughput technologies, including flow chemistry, to do design of experiments combined with laboratory automation for formulation development and application or optimization for agrochemicals. So they're clearly well advanced in this technology as well. Picked another couple of companies here. Recently, Bayer have said that they're using modeling and prediction tools and using robotic technologies to help a more accurate handling and dosing of active ingredients and formulation inerts in the laboratory. And Corteva have also said that they are doing formulation development using robotics and automation. So, a lot of the big companies doing that. A further example here is FMC talking about automation control, formulation development, engineering, particularly in scale-up, to optimize and control processes. So it's not just in formulation R&D, but also in process R&D, where automation can be used. Dow have a long-established high-throughput research platform where automated robots make formulations in parallel and then do the analysis and data collection as well. That's combined with statistical DOE methods to build models. And they can do all sorts of automated tests, including solubility, viscosity, stabilization, emulsion stability, solubilization, surface tension, foam, and so on. And Dow have provided examples of where they've used these high throughput robotic automated technologies to work on formulations, including EC, EW, ME, and SC formulations. They can even do high-speed powder dispersing to make SC formulations in this robot. They claim a very high efficiency in sample preparation, that less material is needed in the laboratory, and a very high research efficiency is claimed. And Dow actually provide a case study on EC formulations using high throughput automated experimentation. In this example, they took 3 different surfactant types at different levels, and then they used DOE, so design of experiment techniques, which required 10 data points for each set of solvent and surfactants at one specific hardness. They then applied a machine learning algorithm to the results to evaluate emulsion stability. So they actually use machine learning on photographs of emulsions to determine whether they were stable or not. And then they built a computer model to predict the performance of emulsions under many different conditions. I think that's a really nice practical example in the area of agrochemicals where DOE, robotics, and machine learning can be used and combined. Outside agrochemicals, it's always worth looking what companies are doing. So Dow have published, for instance, on high throughput automation to make industrial coatings, synthesizing, formulating, and making coating compositions, and measuring a whole range of different properties. And they combine automated experiment together with DOE methods. Evonik do similar sorts of things with coatings, and they can systematically test far more formulations over the same period of time and say that within 24 hours, an average of 120 samples can be formulated. Henkel have done something similar for adhesive formulations, and they say that using robotic automated technologies, then human error is reduced. They can operate the robots 24/7, and they can integrate with cloud storage of their data and results. Let's have a look. It's not just companies that are doing things in this area. A few examples here of institutes and universities. So here in the UK, we have a large facility called the Materials Innovation Factory at the University of Liverpool, and that has historic collaborations with companies like Unilever on automated formulation development. They have multiple robotic platforms available for formulation. These are modular, and they can do things like dispensing and fluid processing. And in the USA, there's a nice example at Cornell and NIST of an autonomous formulation laboratory. And that's using very advanced analytical techniques, so X-ray and neutron scattering, to map compositions of liquid formulations that are produced in automated systems. So it's an area for academics as well as it is for companies. So it's a big and a growing area, automation. I did mention DOE, and I thought it was worth mentioning some of the companies that are active in that area. I mentioned JMP already. So JMP provide DOE software which supports formulation automation. They're not the only ones. So companies like Statis and Modi from Sartorius are also provide the right kind of software that might be needed, amongst others. Moving on from automation and DOE, let's take a look now at AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. What are companies doing? So Bayer have talked a little bit about AI, artificial intelligence for formulation. They've talked about digital tools which are used to enhance formulation development. So the use of modeling and prediction tools to speed up screening or to simulate different operating environments. They talk about the use of AI in formulation development, so that helps them to work on improved data generation and data capture and generate new insights as part of their computational life science platform. It helps them visualize and analyze recipe data. It helps them develop models to predict chemical and physical stability of products as well as bioefficacy properties. It helps them understand interactions between formulation components and is making use, as we'll see for other companies soon, of increased computing power. BASF, another large company, announced in 2017 that they are using a supercomputer, which they call Curiosity, for modeling and simulation relating to formulation. So things like surfactant polymer systems, solvency of active ingredients, dispersibility of particles in water to predict and improve formulation properties. And the use of self-optimizing algorithms to accelerate formulation development. That means that they need fewer experimental iterations to optimize the formulation, optimize performance. Dow have provided an example outside the area of agrochemicals of where they're using AI and machine learning, and they provide an example on customized polyurethane formulations. So that machine learning and predictive analytics helps them develop a model which uses a whole range of prior knowledge. So this model takes in a lot of knowledge and data from the past and then uses that to produce customized formulations for specific customers. And they're doing that in partnership with Microsoft's machine learning team. There are some software people really active in the area of artificial intelligence and machine learning for formulation specifically. So there's a company called Intelligens, which uses adaptive experimental design. So for instance, according to the results obtained in the first experiments, it then designs what the next experiment should be according to a neural network algorithm. and it claims to be up to 10 times quicker than traditional approaches, and it provides a number of case studies of how that's used for different sorts of formulations. Robotics do something similar. So again, they use multiple methods: DOE, chemical informatics, physical modeling, AI, and machine learning, and combine that with automated experimentation. And a third company is also active in this area. That's Chem Intelligence, again with an adaptive experimental design. They can start with a very small number of experiments, maybe just 2 experiments, and they use those results to start building a machine learning model, which then chooses what the next experiment should be, and then adapts the design based on the results of that experiment. And they claim, a 25 to 80% reduction in the number of experiments needed to develop products. So where might things go next? We've seen about where things have happened in the past. Where might we see things happening next? It was interesting looking at a view from the management consultancy Accenture, who talked about digital chemicals R&D, and a lot of this is appropriate for formulation. They say that there is a need to move beyond traditional R&D approaches, and they define 6 building blocks for digital R&D in chemicals in the now and in the future. First of which we haven't really talked about today, but that's about using AI to search databases, particularly text databases such as patents, publications, and internal reports, so that their staff can focus on higher value tasks. Second area we've already talked about, that's lab automation. The third area, again, we talked about AI, artificial intelligence, to sort data and information. Talked about quantum computing, so the new sort of more powerful computing technology, still in its infancy, but with the potential to increase computing power, which might be needed for complex systems. Then we talked about using intelligence knowledge management, so the use of AI to capture and share and exploit new knowledge coming from R&D. And then talking about co-creation, that's a new topic I don't think we've really talked about today, which I think is quite interesting, using digital technologies to link together chemical companies and their customers in joint innovation projects. So that was a view from one large consultancy about digitalization in chemicals R&D. BASF already talked about curiosity in 2017. Well, this year they've talked about yet another new supercomputer, the world's largest supercomputer for industrial chemical research, used for complex modeling, virtual experiments and simulations. And they say that calculations that would have taken about a year in the past can be carried out by a supercomputer in just a few days. Academics are interested in this area and developing new sorts of algorithms and technologies. This is an example from a fairly recent publication, which combined a small-scale robot with what they call a curiosity algorithm that kind of moves towards and optimizes formulations by exploring experimental space much more effectively. And so in the diagram in the middle, in the center diagram there, you can see that the curiosity algorithm has explored experimental space much, much more effectively than the random approach. And that, in this example, and provide the link there if you want to follow it, shows how new insights in terms of temperature dependency of these formulations could be generated because that algorithm was much more effective, and it was directly linked to a robot carrying out experiments. And here's another example, which I think I'm just going to pull out. One feature here is where it's really reviewing where the needs and challenges still exist. And the needs and challenges in this area are better handling of solid ingredients, better processing and transferring, better automated analytics, flexible platforms, and better software models. But again, a lot of academic interest in this area. So just to finish off then, as we're coming towards the end of our time, we would say that the use of automation and artificial intelligence offers many potential benefits in formulation R&D. Statistical DOE is very well established in formulation research and development, and is now being supplemented and augmented by newer methods, including AI and machine learning. Laboratory automation in formulation is very well established at big companies, and it's very effective in combination with DOE. But there's the potential to lower the entry barrier to using this hardware by making it cheaper and more effective. We would expect increased use of these systems of AI machine learning, as well as modeling and simulation in formulation. So computing power will increase, opening up opportunities. And that really is everything that I wanted to say today. I hope you found that interesting and new for you. Thank you very much for listening. If you need to contact us, then you'll find our details there. Thank you very much, and goodbye.